I'm Terri Huff. I am the division head for pulmonary critical care medicine here at OHSU, and I have been here for less than 2 months. There are a lot of reasons to come to OHSU. For me, I think it started with my love for Portland. I'm from the West Coast. I grew up in San Francisco and have lived there and in Seattle, but my family and I have always loved coming down to Portland for just the beautiful scenery, the great people, the restaurant scene, the music scene. There's always so much going on down here. So I think I met Portland first and then OHSU. First came to OHSU as my very first visiting professor gig about 15 years ago now, I think, and remember back even from then just what a wonderfully warm and inquisitive faculty you have here. I think what brought me here most recently, again, is the people, but I think also the commitment of the School of Medicine and of the university to really making the integration of research and clinical medicine work in a really exciting way. So my research is clinical research based on critical illness and outcomes of patients who survive critical care. I'm a clinical epidemiologist, but also spend a lot of time in the clinical trials space, figuring that the best way to focus on survivorship after critical illness is to learn how to provide the best care during critical illness so we have a lot of survivors. But really my focus has been understanding what sorts of issues our patients have after they leave the ICU and how we can improve care both during the ICU and after to make sure that their survivorship is as good as it can be. One of my favorite things about being in academic medicine are the opportunities for mentorship. I have always worked with fellows ever since I've been one, and have mentored, I think, about a dozen people now, many of whom are faculty members across the country. We have done a lot of different kinds of projects, everything from biomarkers to tiny clinical trials, a lot of observational studies. And it's really been a fun combination of ideas that we've developed together and also ideas that fellows bring to me with how they can investigate a new problem, learn a new skill set, all sorts of different things.
Hi, I'm Rhys Rand. I'm an assistant professor here at OHSU in critical care medicine and emergency medicine. I work in the medical ICU, the cardiovascular ICU, the emergency department, and I also do ECMO and transport ECMO. I've been here since I was a resident, stayed on as a fellow, and also stayed thereafter as a faculty member. And I've never left OHSU because I fell in love with the place as soon as I arrived. I've been drawn to OHSU since I was a resident. I was really impressed. There's really no one here that has an ego. They're all just interested in learning and teaching you. I fell in love with that culture, stayed on as a fellow, where I worked with amazing mentors, both in emergency and critical care, to learn more and just focus on being a better clinician. Staying on was an obvious choice when they managed to carve out a unique role for me, allowing me to split my time between various ICUs and the emergency department. It really allowed me to satisfy my diverse interest and continue to learn on how to be an excellent clinician. I also love being in Portland. This city has treated us quite well, my wife and I. I've come to realize and learn that people in Portland all have a very unique and diverse talent or interest. Since coming here, I've learned how to ride a horse. I've learned to splunk. I've climbed and rappelled up and down waterfalls. I've climbed various mountains, learned how to wakeboard and surf. It honestly is hard to imagine what my life was before OHSU and Portland. I love working with fellows and residents. It's one of the major reasons why I stayed. I want to continue that culture of being humble without an ego, to want to keep learning about medicine and share my love and my knowledge for medicine with those who are interested in learning it as well.
Hi everybody, my name is Matt Drake. I'm an assistant professor here at OHSU. I'm also one of the associate program directors for pulmonary and critical care. I've been at OHSU for about 13 years now and on faculty for the last 6. And what really drew me to OHSU originally was the quality of the mentors I met when I came through for my interviews. I really saw people that I wanted to emulate both clinically as well as in the research environment. And so that brings me to one of the major things I do here at OHSU. I am interested in the basic biology of asthma, and I run a research lab here in the division. In particular, I'm interested in how eosinophils and airway nerves interact and how those interactions cause asthma exacerbations and airflow obstruction. And I joined this lab when I was just entering fellowship here. I became interested in this topic in part because there were a number of faculty on the Hill who were doing similar work, and they really, really reached out and were providing a clear path for me in terms of both building my research skills, reaching out for things like K awards, and then subsequent funding after that. One of the great things about the OHSU research environment is that we have a number of different areas in which we're really, really expert in. And asthma is one of those areas, but we also have world experts in things like mycobacterial disease, both here as well as at the VA, which is physically attached to the university. We have a bridge that connects the two institutions, and you see the collaboration across these two institutions really, really manifest in a positive way when it comes to the research environment. So our fellows get involved in research in their second and third year of fellowship. And we anticipate that they're going to have about 18 total months of fellowship in which they're working in some sort of research capacity. Those fellows who are particularly interested in bench science, they have a number of opportunities to pursue. And part of my role here is helping them carve out exactly what the research plan is going to be, helping make sure that they've got the right mentor selected for what their career goals are, and then really seeing them through that project. And the goal of any of these research projects is not that everybody's going to go into some form of research, but we want to build the skills for you that are going to launch your career, whether that's in the research environment or otherwise. Now, the other side of this is OHSU's clinical training, which is really outstanding here. And research infrastructure we've built really harnesses our clinical expertise. And so we've built a number of translational opportunities on the Hill. One of the things we have here is called the Oak Tree, the Clinical and Translational Research Institute, which is a really interesting model for building translational research studies, and it supports our clinical research team. I hope as you're looking around the website and talking to people who may work here, you hear more about the research opportunities on the Hill, whether it's in the lab or it's in the clinic. There's a lot to do here, and I hope you're looking at OHSU seriously. We may have a chance to work together in the future.
Hi everyone, I'm Anna Brady. I'm an assistant professor here at OHSU and an associate program director in our pulmonary and critical care fellowship. So I first came to OHSU 3 years ago, straight out of fellowship to begin a faculty job. And the things that really drew me to OHSU, probably number one, are the people. I really love the people that I get to work with, and I've worked in a variety of environments across the hospital, in our cardiovascular ICU, in the medical ICU, the pulmonary consult service, and in the outpatient clinic. And I'm just always amazed by the great colleagues I have here, both within our division and across divisions of the hospital. Likewise, I am primarily an educator, so I am involved in medical school education, residency education, and education at the fellowship level, and I love working with our trainees. I think our fellows are awesome. I love getting to work with them in a variety of settings and helping them teach more junior learners as well. So I've worked with med students, residents, and fellows on a variety of education projects, one of which was creating a new curriculum for the internal medicine residents in our medical ICU. And so a few different fellows have worked on that, and we've studied it and are writing it up for publication. Outside of OHSU, I love to ride my bike, and I feel very lucky to be in a place where I get to ride my bike to work, rain or shine, every day of the year, which is pretty fun. And my husband and I love to get out and explore the Portland area. We love the Japanese garden, and we love to go hiking both in the Portland area and in the state of Oregon. So one of the things I think that is so awesome about training at OHSU is really the breadth of pulmonary and critical care medicine that you get to experience. Our fellows get to see all kinds of critical illness at OHSU, and they also get a wide range of exposure to pulmonary disease, between interventional pulmonary medicine at the VA to a variety of outpatient subspecialty clinics here at OHSU. And I think it's a fantastic place to work, and I really think that our fellows are phenomenally trained when they graduate for a variety of careers.
Hi, I'm Donald Sullivan. I'm an associate professor of medicine at OHSU and investigator at the VA Portland Healthcare System in the Center to Improve Veteran Involvement in Care. I first came to OHSU about 10 years ago when I started my fellowship, and I chose OHSU as my fellowship given my desire to become a clinical physician scientist investigating lung cancer patient outcomes. And both OHSU and the Portland VA have very well established lung cancer programs, including multidisciplinary lung cancer clinics and lung cancer treatment boards with participation from thoracic surgeons, radiation oncologists, and pulmonologists. And it really sets up well for someone investigating lung cancer care and ways to improve care, given the high degree of collaboration between the clinicians and the researchers. Likewise, both institutions care a lot improving outcomes among patients with lung cancer. The second main research interest of mine is palliative and end-of-life care, and the Pacific Northwest of the U.S. and OHSU are leaders in the field of palliative care, including ways to improve patient outcomes, including the first statewide PULSE registry. The director of this registry is actually an OHSU faculty member. And so there are a lot of clinicians and researchers to collaborate with in the area of palliative and end-of-life care. Why I stayed at OHSU? I think for me, the one major draw, having studied and trained in various regions of the country and calling Boston home, is the high degree of collegiality, just tremendous attitudes among the various clinicians in trying to save patients' problems and sort of leaving their attitudes at the door. And the second part about that is a tremendous emphasis from an academic center in terms of work and life balance. Important to me to become a successful academic clinician researcher, in addition to becoming a good father and husband. And I think that that's a key point with working here and being successful in academics.